Very good evening, everyone. Long time since I've come to the YouTube platform, at least. Sahil, very good evening to you. Daydreamer, good morning, हाँ? शाम के 7 बजे गुड मॉर्निंग हो रहा है। अरे सही में डे ड्रीमिंग पे चले गए लग रहा है, नहीं? सिंधुजा, हाय सूर्यांश, शिखा, very good evening to all of you. Lalit, Apurva, very good to see all of you. Now, this has of course been some time. I wanted to take this session in the previous week, actually. Divyanshu, Kishan, people are still joining in. Very good evening, everyone. Satvik, how are you? Good to see you as well. Very good evening. So, this is a session that I wanted to discuss in the last week, but I was kind of very caught up over a few things. आकाश से जय बजरंग बली, क्या बात है। ठीक है, मतलब मंगलवार तो नहीं है, बट बिल्कुल हमेशा जय जयकार है। नो वरीज देयर। But we've had some interesting controversies that have been happening in Lucknow, particularly about a new mall that came up on right next to Shahid Path, very famous road in Lucknow which connects basically the Ayodhya Highway or the Faizabad Highway with the airport. And right next to it is a very big mall that has just opened up a few months, तो नहीं हुआ है, but just about a few weeks मान लो. That is the Lulu Mall, right? And lo and behold, right when the mall had just opened up and things were just, about getting started, वहां पर एक controversy हो गया कि some people offered their prayers and wanted to practice their right to worship. And therefore, it brings up the obvious question for all of us to evaluate that right to worship itself, of course, is a fundamental right. Right to worship is provided within Part 3 of the Constitution. We have the Places of Worship Act of 1991 and so many other legislations which deal with the variety of aspects in the context of right to religion. Secularism itself is part of the basic structure of the Constitution. And इस टाइप की बहुत सारी चीजें हैं. But what exactly is this idea of being able to worship in a public place? And is that also a legal right? Is that also a constitutional right? Or is that actually even a fundamental right? That is something that I wanted to take up, and that's what we're going to be discussing over the next few minutes. And a lot more people have also joined in. Aridhima, Arpit, Khushi, Anushri, Ishanika, Vrinda, Sayed, Hasika, Sayed Kirdar Hussain. Okay, hi Kirdar bhai, I Sayed to nahi hoga naam nahi. Rudraksh, very good evening. It's a lovely evening. So many of you are here to find out about this important issue. And right before we jump in, guys, सब लोग जब आ ही चुके हो तो एक बार लाइक का बटन भी दबा देते, सबको हम लोग को भी थोड़ा सा ज्यादा motivated feel होता है and so on, right? So beautiful pictures, of course, of the Lulu Mall. I don't know if some of you are from Lucknow, तो शायद जाके देखा भी होगा. But on the 12th of July, so it's been about 3 weeks ago now, almost 3 weeks, 4 men were ultimately arrested for offering their namaz prayers in the Lulu Mall without any particular authorization and so on, which was probably required to be taken. अब लेना जरूरी है नहीं है क्या है वो भी हमें देखना पड़ेगा, of course. But it's a public mall, and the Lucknow police ultimately conducted some arrests, and four people have definitely been arrested at that time, and the FIR was registered under two provisions, right? And those जो important provisions हैं वो भी आप लोग सबको, I hope everybody is sitting with a pen and paper, guys. I hope everybody is sitting with a pen and paper, and please write down these two important sections. I'm sure in the Mohammed Zubair का case भी आप लोग सब देख रहे होंगे. This is the founder of Alt News, and he was also charged under these provisions. So these are some important provisions as far as disrespecting religion and religious sentiment is concerned. So this was particularly section 153 capital A and section 295 capital A. 153A क्या है? Promoting enmity between different groups or different religions. And 295A तो direct ही provision है, deliberate act intended to outrage religious feelings. So the question therefore obviously became that by offering namaz, is it really an act to outrage other people's religious feelings or not? And that's not even the question that we are going to deal with. हम तो ये डिस्कस करना चाहते थे एंड दैट्स आई वांटेड टू डिस्कस इज कि राइट टू रिलीजन में राइट टू वर्शिप आता है कि नहीं, दैट्स क्वेश्चन नंबर वन. एंड अगर राइट टू वर्शिप है भी, even if there is a right to worship, does that right to worship extend to worshipping in a public place also? So let me start by the simple answer. Right to worship is definitely a fundamental right. राइट टू वर्शिप में तो कोई कंट्रोवर्सी है ही नहीं. If you look at Article 25 of the Constitution, Article 25 categorically, specifically says everyone is entitled to freedom of conscience and the right to freely practice and even propagate, right? You have the right to even propagate your own religion, of course subject to the limitations of public order, morality and health, right? So obviously covid का pandemic चल रहा है या किसी का religious sentiment अगर hurt हो रहा है या law and order type का problem हो रहा है, then of course your right to religion and the freedom of conscience and that freedom under article 25 उस पे कुछ restriction किया जा सकता है. But otherwise, you definitely have a freedom to practice your religion. So, in my religion, of course, if offering prayers, etc., is part of the religion, then I will have every right to be able to practice my religion by practicing that in a temple or in a mosque or in a gurudwara or in a church, जहां पर भी जो भी designated religious places है. Which of course still doesn't answer कि अगर public place में वही चीज करना चाह रहे हैं तो क्या होगा. Now, I'm sure you guys when you go to airports में भी prayer room अलग से designate किया गया हुआ है, and a variety of corporate offices even nowadays they have designated areas जहां पर आपको prayer करने का अलग से provision किया जाता है. And of course we have the various religious organizations itself जो ऑफिस के आसपास हो सकता है, आपके वर्क प्लेस के पास या ट्रैवल के पास, एंड आप वहां पर भी जाके ऑब्वियसली अपने प्रेयर्स वगैरह ऑफर कर सकते हो. Article 19 is another important provision which is also very very important इस particular context में. Article 19 1A is a fundamental right. Of course this is available only to citizens of India, right? Article 19 में जो freedoms है, this is very very important, please remember ये foreigners के लिए available नहीं होता है. Article 19 freedoms are available only to Indian citizens, right? Most of the fundamental rights you will see are actually available to everyone. Like if you look at Article 21, it says every person, again, no person can be deprived of their right to life and personal liberty except in accordance with procedure established by law. So it's for everyone because the word used is person. Similarly, if you look at Article 14, Article 14 says every person shall have equality before the law and equal protection of laws within the territory of India. So again, every person, the word used in 14, 21 and variety of other articles, हर जगह आप देखेंगे person. But 19 पहले तो थोड़ा अलग है because 19 में जो freedoms है, those are available only for citizens of India, not for everyone, right? But चलो इंडियंस के लिए ही अगर है तो भी इंडियंस के लिए क्या राइट है? इट इज द राइट टू फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच एंड एक्सप्रेशन. एंड दिस फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच एंड एक्सप्रेशन, if you try to read it along with Article 25, of course it would mean that I have the right to worship, right, and offer my prayers, even sing songs in praise of God, or take out rallies or processions in respect of God and so on. Ultimately, what is the position, हम लोग ज्यादा डेलिबरेट करें या ना करें, घूम फिर के डिसाइड तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट को ही करना है. This much I am sure all of you have also guessed. Yeah, ultimately that decision is with the court. So without wasting much time, लेट अस कम टू द मेन इशू कि पब्लिक प्लेस में करने के लिए सुप्रीम कोर्ट का क्या पॉइंट है. What is it that the Supreme Court is actually talking about? Now, here I want to go through like two important cases. One is the Sagir Ahmad case. Now, in the Sagir Ahmad case, just okay. So, in the Sagir Ahmad case, दोनों 1955 का है. उसके बाद भी we've had other judgments, like the क्या कहते हैं राम जन्मभूमि केस और बहुत सारे इंपॉर्टेंट जजमेंट्स तो हुए ही हैं अबाउट राइट टू वर्शिप पर से. बट पब्लिक प्लेस के बारे में जो डिस्कशन है दैट आई विल टॉक अबाउट टू इंपॉर्टेंट केसेस, सागिर अहमद एंड द इस्माइल फारूकी जजमेंट. इस्माइल फारूकी जजमेंट अगेन इज वेरी वेरी कंट्रोवर्शियल जजमेंट. इनफैक्ट आई एम श्योर आप लोग इस जजमेंट के बारे में कई बार सुने होंगे. So many times this judgment is in discussion, particularly Ram Janmabhoomi dispute के time पे, because this is a judgment in which the Supreme Court had ruled. इसलिए मैं बस ये अलग से ये point offer, I wanted to mention it. The Supreme Court had ruled that a masjid or a mosque is not an essential part of Islam, right? It is not an essential religious practice, etc. In the practice of Islam, and namaz can basically be offered anywhere, even in the open. So that means masjid ka essentiality nahi tha. And this is something that ultimately, if you look at the Ram Janmabhoomi, the Ayodhya dispute. So Ayodhya dispute mein obviously this is something that was definitely taken into account, the Ismail Farooqi judgment, because the Supreme Court has currently, at least the Supreme Court is not reviewing it. वो कह रहे हैं जो हुआ है वो वही मान के अभी हम चलेंगे. सागिर अहमद जजमेंट में क्या हुआ था? द सुप्रीम कोर्ट हैड हेल्ड दैट पीपल आर एंटाइटल्ड टू यूज इवन पब्लिक रोड्स एंड स्ट्रीट्स. And it's not that this is something that happens only in the context of namaz. And I, genuinely, I want to make this point also very, very clear. Please understand that log jab bhi ye discussion hota hai, by default people start thinking only about namaz. But the truth is there are so many religious events that happen, and a lot of it happens on the streets and on public roads. For example, अगर हम लखनऊ में भी देखें तो Janmashtami is definitely celebrated on the streets. We've had Bada Mangal is celebrated on the streets. In Kolkata, you will have Durga Visarjan that happens on the streets. In Mumbai, you will have the Ganpati festival that obviously happens on the streets. And if nothing else, today is the 5th of August, right? 5th August पे हम आ चुके हैं, and in just less than a week later, in less than a week, you will see Muharram is the penance or repentance ka. It's primarily celebrated. Celebrated तो क्या? It's a repentance का event है for Shia Muslims about variety of things. So Battle of Karbala में जो हुआ Imam Hussain and all of that. Now, so again, that is again something which will obviously happen on the streets. So, but एक particular event अगर है, right? Jagannath Yatra था, yes, Suryansh, absolutely. I mean, that's my hometown in Puri. So Rath Yatra तो बिल्कुल obviously होता ही है, usually in the month of July. So a lot of it happens on the streets. But this right, according to the Supreme Court, this right is limited by similar rights of every other citizen to use them. So essentially, if you look at what the court is trying to say, there is an implied kind of understanding कि use तो किया जा सकता है, right? Supreme Court is saying use किया जा सकता है, but अगर दूसरों के साथ interference हो रहा है, right? अगर दूसरों के साथ interference हो रहा है, if others are not able to use that public property in a reasonable manner or something like that, तो फिर आपका पब्लिक रोड हो, स्ट्रीट हो या पब्लिक प्लेस हो, उसका राइट आपका नहीं हो पाएगा. बाकी लोगों का राइट अफेक्ट नहीं होना चाहिए, राइट? अनुष्का सर सागिर अहमद में क्या बोला? वही तो बता रहा हूँ अनुष्का. यही बोला था कि आप रोड, स्ट्रीट वगैरह पब्लिक प्लेस यूज कर सकते हैं, बट बाकी लोगों का राइट अफेक्ट नहीं होना चाहिए, राइट? जहां पर बाकी लोगों का राइट अफेक्ट हो जाएगा, वहां पर आपका राइट भी वैलिडली अब एक्सरसाइज नहीं किया जा सकता, राइट? And of course, the other very important judgment is the Ismail Faruqi case, where the Supreme Court ultimately said that the right to worship guaranteed under Article 25 of the Constitution does not extend to the right to worship at every place. हर जगह पे करने का right definitely नहीं दिया हुआ है, right? So it now if you look at this, does not extend, ये वाला जो part है, this part, even if you look at this part, ultimately, even if it does not extend to every place, I believe पर्सनली, एंड इसमें कोर्ट का जजमेंट मैं नहीं बता रहा हूं, ये मेरा पर्सनल ओपिनियन है, आई स्टिल बिलीव दैट दिस डज नॉट कंप्लीटली क्लैरिफाई कि किसी पब्लिक प्लेस में लाइक अ मॉल, इफ समबडी वांट्स टू ऑफर नमाज, और उसके बाद ऑब्वियसली पॉलिटिकल इशू भी हो गया, कंट्रोवर्सी भी काफी सारी हो गई, समबडी सेड हम हनुमान चालीसा वहां पर पढ़ेंगे, फिर कुछ और होगा, फिर कुछ और होगा, मतलब इट जस्ट became quite a bit of a complicated situation. And even today, if you go to Lulu Mall, there's a decent amount of police being deployed, PSC being deployed, and so on, ताकि public order या security measures में कम से कम problem ना आए. But the Supreme Court's position really has not been completely clear. There are still cases pending in the Supreme Court जहां पर public place में worship करने का right होना चाहिए, नहीं होना चाहिए, या है तो किस लिमिटेशन के साथ होना चाहिए. Those are some things that are still pending in the Supreme Court. Hopefully आप लोग के एग्जाम्स खत्म होने से पहले, राइट, आप लोग के एग्जाम्स खत्म होने से पहले, क्लैट होने से पहले, if the Supreme Court comes out with a judgment, राइट, 2018 का भी एक केस पेंडिंग है, 2019 का भी एक केस पेंडिंग है, so if the court comes out with the judgment, I promise you on behalf of all of us here at Clat Possible, आई विल डेफिनेटली एंश्योर कि उस पे मैं अलग से फिर से एक सेशन जरूर करूंगा. बट आज के लिए आई सजेस्ट ऑल ऑफ यू, प्लीज टेक अ नोट, प्लीज मेक अ नोट ऑफ ऑल द इंपॉर्टेंट प्रोविजंस दैट वी हैव डिस्कस्ड. सेक्शन 153A और 295A आईपीसी का हमने देखा, आर्टिकल 19, आर्टिकल 25 एंड आर्टिकल 26 कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में देखा, एंड वी हैव two important judgments, that is the Sagir Ahmed judgment and the Ismail Faruqi judgment, right? Hasika is saying, most welcome, Hasika. Great session. Thank you very much, Hasika. I hope I've been able to touch upon some of the important aspects of it. Okay, Suryansh has a question, sir. In my hometown, at the Sessions Court, Muslim group of lawyers have occupied a tenth of the parking space of the court and have reserved it for namaz, disallowing parking there. Is it legal? I would not think so. I don't think that would be legally permissible. अब एक्शन कोई नहीं ले रहा है तो वो अलग बात है, बट लीगली एनफोर्स करना तो मुश्किल है. आई थिंक एट द एंड ऑफ द डे सम ऑफ दीज इश्यूज जस्ट बॉइल्स डाउन टू अ प्रैक्टिकल इशू आल्सो, कि चलो ठीक है, कोई कर रहा है तो तो करने दिया जाए, चलो एडजस्ट कर लेंगे, प्लीज एडजस्ट माड़ी, थोड़ा एडजस्ट माड़ी, है ना. So some of these things just boil down to simpler issues of how we want to treat our fellow citizens and our fellow members of the civil society, and so on. But legally, though, I'm pretty sure legally it will not be enforceable for sure. Sir, Sagar Ahmed और Ismail case में almost same चीज ही हुआ ना? Yeah, almost same चीज, but Ismail Faruqi is probably a little more limitations के साथ है, थोड़ा और बाउंड्रीज उसमें डाल दिया गया है कि बिल्कुल एवरी प्लेस में है ही नहीं, राइट, अगर देखा जाए तो. बट सागिर अहमद में कह रहा है कि है हर जगह करने के लिए, बस दूसरों का राइट अफेक्ट नहीं होना चाहिए. सो देयर इज अ लिटिल बिट ऑफ डिफरेंस आल्सो, राइट. इस्माइल फारूकी में कह रहा है राइट ही नहीं है ना हर जगह. सागिर अहमद में बोला था राइट है, बट आपके राइट में दूसरों को प्रॉब्लम नहीं होना चाहिए, तब तक आपका राइट जरूर है, which is what is known as the nose hand rule. आप अपना हाथ बिल्कुल फैला सकते हैं, जितना भी स्प्रेड करना हो, यू कैन वेव योर हैंड्स, बट द मोमेंट योर हैंड टचेस समबडी एल्सेस नोज, जैसे ही किसी और को प्रॉब्लम होता है, वहां आपका हाथ फैलाने का और वेव करने का फ्रीडम बेसिकली, उस पर रेस्ट्रिक्शन डाला जा सकता है, उसको बंद किया जा सकता है. सो सागिर अहमद उस लाइंस पे है, इस्माइल फारूकी थोड़ा और रेस्ट्रिक्टेड है कि हर जगह राइट ही नहीं है, बात ही खत्म. But ultimately, I think this is a question, like I said, which will have to be decided by the Supreme Court. So let's wait and see what the court decides. जैसे ही judgment आएगा, मैं आप लोग को already promise कर चुका हूँ, I will definitely bring it as well. Right, sir, 341 of the IPC wrongful restraint भी लगा था लुलू मॉल केस में. FIR में तो नहीं है शिखा, FIR में तो नहीं है. I don't know if there is some other controversy. I'll try to look for it and I'll let you know. सर ये लुलू मॉल तो आपके लखनऊ में है? हाँ हाँ, बिल्कुल बिल्कुल लखनऊ में ही है. मेरे घर से 5-7 किलोमीटर दूरी होगा, बिकॉज आई स्टे वेरी राइट नेक्स्ट टू शहीद पर. तो उसी रोड पे बस थोड़ा आगे जाओ एयरपोर्ट की तरफ, तो लुलू मॉल लेफ्ट साइड में पड़ता है मेरे घर से. सर इस्माइल फारूकी केस में एवरी प्लेस का कैटेगरी नहीं दिया गया ना? नहीं नहीं, कैटेगरी वाज नॉट गिवन. राइट, ओके. सो again, I don't think that would be applicable in this context. FIR में तो नहीं है, FIR में तो नहीं है. राइट, किरदार भाई, what are you asking? सर आप गए लुलू? नॉट येट, नॉट येट. मेरे घर के ज्यादा पास में एक्चुअली प्लासियो पड़ता है ना, सो इट्स नो अदर रीजन, इट्स जस्ट लुलू मॉल ज्यादा दूर है और प्लासियो ज्यादा पास है. so that you still practice as a lawyer or full time teacher? No, so I only do corporate consultancy. So corporate and tax kind of work, I still do a little bit of that. But I was never a practicing lawyer in the court in any case. Right? So corporate work I still do. And teaching is of course far more fun. Corporate law pays. This one is of course a more entertaining job as well. ठीक है guys, so that's that for today. Let's see अगर Supreme Court बोलता है कुछ तो I'll be back. Otherwise we'll move on to discussing other and more interesting topics. Please do remember to drop us a like bhai. Please do remember to drop us a like. हम लोग को भी थोड़ा ज्यादा motivation feel होता है. More than 45 people that are watching, right? So could you please provide a conclusion of this session? I'm unable to do so. As of now, it does not exist in every place, but we will have to see. Right, Dikshita, as of now, अगर दूसरों को problem हो रहा है, कुछ हो रहा है, तो पब्लिक प्लेस में फंडामेंटल राइट तो डेफिनेटली नहीं है. राइट, एंड इट डिपेंड्स ऑन what the authorities ultimately say. Currently this is not a right. ठीक है. ओके गाइज, सर कल का सेशन कब होगा? मॉक एनालिसिस सिदक, आई विल हैव टू फाइंड दैट आउट. I'm not sure, but I'm sure it should happen very very quickly. I don't know the exact date और ये वो, क्योंकि मेरा तो सेशन नहीं भी था, so I'm unable to really confirm about that aspect. Right? ठीक है, चलो guys, have a lovely weekend. Friday की शाम हो चुकी है, Saturday Sunday आप लोग के सामने है. Please enjoy, but please remember to continue studying. Stay healthy, stay safe, and have a wonderful evening, guys. Bye bye. Thank you very